My guest at this time is American Women's Alliance President Gayle Trotter. She is also an attorney here in the Washington, D.C. area. We want to get her insights and reaction to some of the arguments we're hearing in connection with the sexual assault allegation lodged by Dr. Christine Ford against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. And Gayle, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yes, great to be with you.
When listening to Senate Democrats, particularly the ones on the Judiciary Committee, we're hearing the interesting combination of we have to wait for the FBI investigation before Ford and Kavanaugh can testify again, combined with many of these same people saying they've already decided they believe Dr. Christine Ford. Here's a quick example of that with Kamala Harris, the senator from California, Tuesday on CBS This Morning.
I believe that the FBI, Nora, to your point, it should be compelled to do its job in terms of completing their background investigation. Well, listen, I think it's going to be it comes down to credibility, to your point, Gayle, and it's going to be about listening to what each party has to say. But I believe her. Listen, first of all, anybody who comes forward at this point to be prepared to testify in the United States Senate against someone who is being nominated to one of the most powerful positions in the United States government, that takes an extraordinary amount of courage.
Even Matthew Dowd, who became famous working for George W. Bush, now works for ABC News as the chief political analyst, said, quote, this is on Twitter, "Enough with the he said, she said storyline. If this is he said, she said, then let's believe the she in these scenarios. She has nothing to gain and everything to lose. For 250 years, we have believed the he in these scenarios. Enough is enough." So, Gayle, what do you make of the common theme we're hearing that female accusers must be believed?
There's so many things wrong with what she said and with that approach to investigating or understanding situations and allegations. I think what you're seeing is these Democratic senators and many in the media are equating she must be taken seriously, which everyone agrees with his presumed guilty until proven innocent. And I think it's really dangerous and sad that we have turned one of the very foundations of American law on its head. Certainly, you would not want to have the weight of history used against you if you were accused of some kind of crime. And I think that if you look at the history of what the Democratic senators have been doing in relation to Judge Kavanaugh and their commitment, even before his name was announced, to do everything in their power, as Chuck Schumer said, to derail this nomination, and then what they did with the allegations, which Senator Dianne Feinstein held by herself for 6 weeks and did not immediately present it to Senator Grassley or to the other Democratic senators on the committee, as far as we know, really leads you to believe that these Democratic senators are not interested in the truth. And you just had the quote from Senator Kamala Harris talking about how she believes Dr. Ford. Well, she's prejudging the allegation. So she has not really, she's calling for an investigation, except she's already prejudged what her findings are of that investigation.
Another word we're hearing almost to a person from the Democratic side is credible. They find the allegations credible. From a legal perspective, from a lawyerly perspective, how do you define credibility?
Usually credibility means that it's verified, it's corroborated, there are similar attestations around the same time that the allegation was said to occur, that there are pertinent details that can be offered. And certainly you would have to look at the motivations of the person who is making the allegations. And it's hard to believe that given the conduct of Senator Feinstein and the Democratic senators, that they truly believe this is credible, because they had so many opportunities to bring this up with Judge Kavanaugh. They had 2 background calls before the Senate hearings happened with Judge Kavanaugh. They had a closed session to go over the FBI background checks that Judge Kavanaugh underwent. They had 3 days of testimony during the hearings, 32 hours of testimony. It was not raised during that time. And after the hearings finished, they submitted almost 1,300 questions to Judge Kavanaugh to answer. Not one of those 1,300 questions dealt with the allegations by Dr. Ford. So it is really hard to see how, if they believed that these were credible allegations, that either they weren't morally obligated to bring them out immediately, or this is truly just part of a last-minute character assassination of Judge Kavanaugh. And if you think about the weight of the testimony on the other side, you have almost 100 women who have known Judge Kavanaugh at all stages of his life, from high school, college, when he was in law school, when he worked in the Bush White House as a judge, hiring female law clerks, mothers of girls who played on basketball teams that he put his volunteer time into coaching these teams. All of them attest to what an upstanding person Judge Kavanaugh is, and how at every step in his professional life, he has chosen to empower women.
Mazie Hirono is a Democratic senator from Hawaii, and she took it a step further from just talking about Ford and Kavanaugh, and had this to say while once again arguing for a full FBI investigation before the hearings and the consideration of Kavanaugh resume.
I expect the men in this country and the men in this committee, and many of them, believe me, because we all signed on to this letter to demand an FBI investigation. But really, guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country. And I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up. Do the right thing for a change.
Yeah, what's your reaction to that?
I can't believe that she would say something so outrageous and offensive to American men. Does she forget that American men and women built this country, and they absolutely have a First Amendment right to speak up, speak their minds, speak their opinions, and to try and shame them into being quiet on something as consequential as the next Supreme Court nomination and confirmation process is truly just outrageous. And I think, too, it's fascinating that she would go out there and say that, because she is an elected official, and presumably she also is required and supposed to take an oath to represent her constituents and to uphold the Constitution. And when she goes out there and makes comments like this, she really diminishes the stature of her office as a senator of the United States, as a representative of the people of Hawaii.
Gayle, last topic. As I mentioned at the beginning, you are the president of the American Women's Alliance, so I'm guessing having a positive and healthy advocacy for issues that matter to women are quite a passion of yours. So when you see this division, whether it's not just about Kavanaugh, we saw it back in the 2012 campaign over contraception and so forth, this peeling apart, regardless of who's doing it, among the sexes.
Right. It is a terrible shame, because we know as women that men are our fathers, our brothers, our coworkers, our neighbors. They are an important part of building our American society and helping to ensure equal opportunity for all Americans. They are shoulder to shoulder with the American women. And it is so sad to continue to see this kind of identity politics being done. And you saw it in the presidential election of 2012 when President Obama was running against Mitt Romney, and there was this idea perpetuated of the war against women. And you can't help but think that perhaps that is part of the strategy of all of this going into the midterm elections. The Democrats want to see a blue wave, and in the past, this type of divisive political rallying has been effective for them. I think we're in a new moment, though. I think that Americans can see that while they want both parties to be heard in this set of allegations, they understand that the fundamental rights of an accused and the fundamental right of a person to not have their character smeared or to be their reputation destroyed because of politics is a bridge too far. And I think we're going to see that the Democrats are not going to have the results that they think that they are entitled to have after making this stand.
Gayle, we'll call time there. We'll see how this develops on Monday, which is the next time the committee's supposed to be having hearings on this with Kavanaugh and possibly Ford. We'll see. We'll talk to you later. Thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, great to be with you, Greg.
Gayle Trotter, she's an attorney in the Washington, D.C. area, and she is president of the American Women's Alliance. I'm Greg Corombos reporting for Radio America.